Hey everyone, this is Jen, and I wanted to. I was thinking about loneliness. I cover this topic a lot. BPD loneliness. I don't feel connected to friends. Um, why don't my relationships last? Or I'm in a relationship, but I feel like I'm alone. Or I feel like I'm in a group of people, but I feel alone. This topic of loneliness comes up a lot in discussion about borderline personality disorder, and it's actually one of the criteria in the DSM. I believe I'm paraphrasing, but frequent attempts to escape abandonment is one, and then another is one of the DSM is chronic attempts to escape real or imagined abandonment, and then another one is chronic feelings of loneliness. I'm pretty sure that is one of the DSM, but somebody fact check me, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain. And so I've covered this a lot. And the other day, I'm in my early 40s now, so I'm middle aged. I've seen not only a lot of progression through my disorder, but I've also seen people. I've seen people that have disorders, that don't have disorders, that have said they've had mental illness and not. And I was having this discussion yesterday or a couple days ago with someone who I kind of look up to, a little bit of a mentor. She's a life coach, but she likes to always see the bright side of things. And I said, well, I don't. I imagine the worst first. And she's like, yeah, you think? And I'm like, she said it in a kind of way that implied I shouldn't feel that way. Like, yeah, why do you imagine the worst? And, well, imagine the worst because that's what I've seen. The people, you're supposed to learn from and be entrusted and get security and form into a healthy adult by your parents, your caregivers. And if instead you get terror and you get abuse and all that other shit that they doled out on your ass, yeah, you're gonna see the worst in people first. If you couldn't count on your parents, why would you count on a stranger, right? And so, and then there's this big debate like nurture, nature, like, because we've been grown up by these kinds of toxic people, do we think this is normal? And we seek out these relationships that mimic or mirror these kinds of behaviors. And so it's just like this never-ending cycle of us always involved in negative relationships with the same kinds of toxic people. Maybe. But I've been thinking about loneliness, and sometimes I think that because we have seen all of the bad in people, I think that because I've seen we have a great load of empathy, that we can feel those minute changes of emotion or demeanor in someone, kind of walk into a room and you're like, feels tense in here. I wonder why. Even though people may be like, nope, nothing's wrong. No. Now that I'm older, I can trust myself enough now through my experience to be like, the words you're saying are everything's okay, but I know everything's not. And now I can trust myself. And, like I said, I'm in my early 40s. Don't really have a lot of close friends. Don't really have a lot of lifelong friends. And sometimes I think, guys, that's because I feel like most people aren't worth knowing. Most people can't be trusted. Most people are going to show their ass to you at some point. Most people are unreliable. And, I would tell myself this, and I would just keep saying, well, you got to find better people, Jen. You got to find more reliable people, Jen. And it's true. I think good people are really hard to find. I know that they must exist because I feel like I'm a good person that is loyal and reliable, says what I mean, comes from a good place, admits my mistakes, is self-aware. But not everybody's like that, guys. And if you are looking to measure yourself against a normie or a normal, that's a big fucking word that gets thrown around, which I don't agree with, because it somehow makes you the abnormie in this scenario. They don't have it. They don't have the answers. They do not. Don't think they do, because they don't have borderline personality disorder. The truth of the matter is, in my opinion, I think sometimes I feel lonely because A, I've seen all of this terror, B, good people are hard to find, and C, I kind of just prefer my own company most of the time, or with my animals. It's just like, it's not even worth it, you know? And I keep saying to myself, there's got to be more to life than, you know, your purpose. Like, Elon Musk said something not long ago, like, he has to feel in love with one of two things, either his work, his purpose in life, or with the person, which might explain why he has 9 or 10 kids. But sometimes I think of that quote and I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty in love with what I'm doing with my career, and I feel like it has purpose and I enjoy doing it, but where is that other part? And anyway, you know, a lot of the times when we have these discussions about loneliness, I think sometimes I chalk it up to, it must be my own defect. I can't relate to people. It's my interpersonal, you know, ineffectiveness. It's my emotional dysregulation. But now as I get older, I'm like, I don't think most people are worth it. I think I think a lot of people will disappoint you and turn out to be people that you didn't think they were. And it doesn't mean burn that bridge immediately, or get rid of that friendship immediately, or disown that person immediately, or break up with that person immediately. But it does mean pay attention to a sustained pattern of behavior. 6 months to a year, probably more upwards of a year, is a really good time to be able to see how people act and how they respond to things. Anyway, those are my 2 cents. What do you guys think about loneliness? Hit me up in the comments below. Bye-bye.